Tree, my man, thank you for hopping on the call, man. Really appreciate it. So, look, first things first, why don't you introduce yourself, your name, your current role, and how long you'd been in the role before you joined the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey everyone, my name is Sri Konda. I am a business development representative at JFrog. And before I started this role, I joined this role in May of 2026, and I started the cohort about a month and a half in, mid-July or so, and then that's kind of where I went from there.
So you're 2 months, you're a month and a half in before you joined, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess first question is, who are you cold calling? What's the type of job titles that you're reaching out to?
I reach out to primarily DevOps directors, directors of engineering, very technical people, chief information security officers, chief application security people, people really in charge of securing the software supply chain. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So take me back to before you joined. What did a typical week look like for you in terms of the phones?
So on the phones, it was really just shortlisting the people that I wanted to call and then dreading the calls because I didn't have a clear framework in mind. I would just try to wing it, even though I had the support and the support of the people in my network. I just felt like a fish out of water. And I didn't really have a clear idea of, how to approach each call systematically. And so that's kind of what each week would look like. I just have these people, I'd call them, not really knowing whether they were going anywhere and really tracking how I was improving or not.
Were you ever prone to procrastinating or doing other things? Was that a part of what you were doing before you joined the program?
That I would say that was one of the biggest things that I had, being able to just find something else to do except calling. That was definitely something I struggle with before coming into the cohort for sure.
Okay, gotcha. So back then, let's say you did have a bad call before the program. What actually happened next? Like, talk me through it. Was there anyone that you would talk to about it, or what was that process like?
So if I had a bad call, right, the first person who would know is because my manager would always listen to our calls. And so I would get some advice on, okay, this is where you went wrong. Here's how you should try to, reapproach it. But it didn't feel maybe that it was like a bit practical. And so over time that did happen, but I just wasn't sure if it was more an internal problem or if it's actually something that I needed to fix. I didn't have that clear idea. But then when I went into it, I had more of that structure.
Okay, gotcha. So whenever I remember you and I spoke on the phone, before you did sign up, what did you honestly reckon your chances were of this working specifically for you?
I will say, just like anything that I start brand new, I'm always very skeptical. I think that's just my personality type. But having said that, I did understand that at least going through this program, I would have a framework in mind. And that was always the goal, to have a framework in mind to approach any call the same way. That's kind of where my mindset was before I started.
Okay, so can you tell me about the first call or moment where something felt different? So it doesn't even have to be your best call, but was there a specific time where you noticed that something changed in terms of your approach?
I think the biggest thing for me when I noticed this was I was on a call with the cohort, with a prospect, and I noticed that it felt like I wasn't having to go through a checklist of items or going through something systematically. It felt like I was just having a conversation, felt natural. And I think that's like really the moment where I felt like, okay, now this is kind of where I want to be at. I don't feel like I'm calling somebody and then I feel like nervous about talking to them. I can talk about my product and have that conversation.
Okay, gotcha. So in a normal week now, I guess actually before I ask that, what were your meetings like before you joined the program? Like, let's say a standard week.
I would say maybe I was booking a meeting once every 2 weeks. It was definitely not where I wanted to be at in terms of numbers. And it just felt like, again, there was no standard maybe. And I was just kind of going through it. Some days I'd have a good conversation, but it wouldn't go to a meeting. And it wasn't as systematic as I would have liked. But now I think it's changed in that perspective. I think now I'm able to go in with this expectation that I can at least book a meeting or two each week. And that's just due to the nature of the persona that we call into. But I've noticed that improvement significantly.
Amazing. Okay, gotcha. And I guess for you, when you're on a call now, is there anything specifically that you can point to that you're doing now that is leading to you being able to book more meetings every week in comparison to the previous? Is it just the general system? Is it the way that you're guiding the call? What do you think of the biggest thing that's made the difference?
I think the biggest thing has honestly been the mindset shift. I think going into it, I was going into a call, dreading the call because, if I was waiting for them to pick up, I was like, no, I hope they don't pick up. Then I have to say anything. I think now what changed is, okay, every call is a data point. Every call is an opportunity to learn, to improve. And I think that's been the biggest shift, has been in that mindset of understanding that every call is a learning opportunity. Every no is actually closer to a yes. And I think that's something that not only I've noticed, but my peers and my cohort, my managers have all noticed that too, that I'm approaching calls differently than I used to be. And the cohort is the reason why I have that mindset shift.
You read my mind. I was about to ask, has anything actually changed at work in terms of your relationship with your manager, or where you're sitting on the team in terms of leaderboards or anything along those lines?
Absolutely. Even though like just this past cohort, even though I had the meetings just due to the nature of having started a little later, if I had done the cohort earlier, I probably would have been in a much better spot than I am now. But having said that, my manager knows now too that I'm going to be set for success in the next 2 months of this quarter. And again, the reason for that being, I've put in that work, I've put in that time and the effort through this cohort, and that's what got me the results that, again, it'll only go up from here. So that's definitely what I've seen.
Perfect, man. Well, look, that's pretty much all the questions I had. I guess one more question is, if you could go back to the week before you signed up, when you were still umming and ahhing a little bit and you probably didn't have a proper structure, what would you say to yourself at that point?
I would have told myself, I've tried different things that haven't been clicking. I need some kind of framework, and this might be the approach that I need to get that guidance. So take it with a grain of salt, learn what you can, and apply what you would have through this program. That's what I told myself. Take it with an open mind and see what happens, and that's what I did.
Sri, you're a legend. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.